Well, hello everybody at YouTube, and I am Michael Buckoff, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all the lessons at the 7-Step System to Pass the TOEFL IBT. You can find more about my course by going to onlinetoeflcourse.com. And today, not too bad. It looks like I have 3 different independent and integrated speaking practice tests that I'm grading. So I'll start with the first one right here. I always do them in order. So the student who submitted the practice test last, or the one that did it first, I'll grade that one first, and then I kind of go in order of from there. Okay, so let me talk to this student. Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Preets, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-Step System to Pass a TOEFL IBT. I'm going to listen to your independent speaking practice test number 18. So what type of job would you like to do? A passive one like an accountant, or an active one like a pilot? So which of these 2 jobs do you prefer and why? So let's see how you answer this question.
I like active jobs more than just sitting on chair and table, because in active jobs I have more opportunity to explore myself, whereas in passive job I'm just limited to some area.
Now I missed something in the beginning there. I want to listen to it one more time.
I like active jobs more than just sitting on chair and table, because in active jobs I have more
There's something at about 4 to 6 seconds. I can't quite hear what you're saying. Let me try one more time.
active jobs more than just sitting on chair and table, because in active jobs I have more opportunity to explore myself, whereas in passive job I'm just limited to some area. For example, as an accountant I'm just limited to my cabin, whereas as a pilot I can see the different areas of the world. I also like active job because it helps me to remain physically fit. For example, I worked as a physical therapist in India and have to deal with the patients of paralysis who depend on me for their daily moving activity.
Paralysis? You mean paralysis? I think so. That's a word stress issue. Let me listen to that again.
For example, I worked as a physical therapist in India and have to deal with the patients of paralysis who depend on me for their daily...
I'd have to deal with patients with paralysis or patients who are paralyzed.
Moving activities. Whereas one of my friend who is working within a company having sitting job. He just put on weight from last 5 years, like double the weight he's having in college life. Whereas me, I'm having same weight as in college life. So that's the best thing about my job.
Okay, so now let's take a look at the rubrics so I can give you a score here. Okay, here we go, right? Got it. Okay, so I think on this one, delivery issues, one of the things you want to work on is word stress. So there were a few instances in your response you were having some problems with word stress shifts, and I would advise you really work hard in that area, in the pronunciation area of my course. I think it's right around pronunciation lesson number 28 or 29, right in there. All right, in addition, language use. For the most part, you seem to have pretty good control of your language use. Topic development, I would like a little bit better in the beginning when you're starting your response. Try to include a more specific topic statement, one which maybe has maybe 2 specific support points around which you can organize the rest of your response. Or right after your introduction, instead of saying, for example, then you'll say maybe first of all. And then you explain your first point, then you give an example, then you can say something like second of all, then you can explain your second point with an example, and that'll give you a little bit more coherent organization. And help you get to those specific details. All right, so your score here, I'm going to put you at about 2.5 out of 4, 19 points out of 30 on this practice test. Yeah, that's part of the difficulty when I'm listening to my students' responses, is trying to diagnose quickly what are the main issues that are holding their speaking back. So in this case, definitely Preetz has some trouble with word stress, which is why I gave her that advice. And there are at least 2 instances because of her word stress issues, I was having trouble understanding what she was saying. And probably, as you can see, I like to comment on the speaking the very first time I listen to the speaking task, because I think I can be the most helpful and the most accurate by giving my first impressions. Because if I listen to it over and over and over, eventually I can understand what she's saying, but it shouldn't be like that. I should be able to understand the first time everything that she says. It should be intelligible. And if it isn't, I have to give her feedback to let her know. All right, let's go to the next one here, see what we have. Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Meg Delmeda, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. And you completed independent speaking practice test number 32. So this one says, what is better when preparing for an exam, studying alone or studying with a group? So which of these two do you prefer and why?
Thinking of studying, I always prefer to study alone than to study in group. First of all, I focus more on my studies when I study alone. For instance, when I was in high school.
Let me go back to the beginning.
Thinking of studying, I always prefer to study alone than to study in group. First of all,
right in the beginning, the first couple of seconds, I'm having a little bit of trouble understanding that.
I focus more on my studies when I study alone. For instance, when I was in high school, I tried to study for a math exam with my colleague Maria, and instead of focusing on our studies, we ended up talking about other things, such as what we did on the days before. Moreover,
such as
other things, such as what we did on the days.
Not such as what you did, such as what we did. So there's no reason there to use the you point of view. That's considered a language use error. That's an inappropriate pronoun shift, so make sure that you're using the appropriate point of view as you explain your ideas.
Moreover, usually I get better grades when I study alone because I make sure I cover all the aspects required for the project.
I want to say cover, as I cover aspects.
On the other hand, when the projects are in group, sometimes people don't do their parts, and it compromises the grade for it. Therefore, these are the reasons.
You could put it compromises the grade for everyone, right? If you're doing it together as a group, right? So I like that word, by the way, compromise.
Why you prefer to study alone for
not study, but study. Okay, let's take a look here. So I think some delivery issues with this one. I think overall you have pretty good topic development, language use, but still those delivery issues are holding it back a little bit. So I'm going to put you at about 2.6 out of 4, 20 points out of 30 on this practice test. And there you go. Meg Delmeda actually has pretty good speaking, but she still needs to work on that delivery. And what I see today and yesterday and last week is the students who need to get 26. These students are not getting 26 in many cases because of problems with their delivery. Once they can improve their pronunciation, they will be able to reach that target score of 26. Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Dieta79, and I am Michael, the founder owner and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT, and you completed independent speaking practice test 79. It's kind of cool. Your username matches the number of the practice test that you're working on right now. So this question here, discuss an activity that you and your family enjoy doing together. Describe the activity and explain why you and your family enjoy doing it so much.
Going to Santa Anita Park is the activity that my family and I enjoy doing together.
Okay.
First of all, my kids enjoy going to the park because they can have fun. For example, in the park there are 12 tennis courts, 2 large swimming pools, and a lot of playgrounds at which my kids can enjoy playing volleyball and basketball.
At which kind of means where. Very good grammar, and the specific names of the things in the park that you can do, I love that. That's concrete nouns. It really helps to illustrate your point, so I love your very precise vocabulary that you're using.
Sometimes they can meet their friends on weekends to have fun. I also enjoy going to the park where I can meet my friends and we can do some barbecue parties, and I can exercise regularly. For instance, last year when I made my physical checkup, I found my cholesterol a bit high. My doctor advised me to exercise regularly. Therefore, I go to the park every day in the morning to walk for 1 hour. Nowadays, I am healthy, fit, and energetic.
Healthy, fit, and energetic. Very good parallel structure. Adjective, adjective, and adjective. So overall, this was a very good response. In fact, the best one that I've listened to today so far. On yours, you're at least, I'm going to put you at least 26 points or higher. I think it's very possible you could get a score 4 on this one. If you scored lower, it might be because of some minor delivery issues, but there's no other reason why you should receive a score below 4 on this practice test. All right? Okay, thank you. And that student right there, the one that I just talked to, she got 24 out of 30 on the last TOEFL IBT exam that she took. And as you can see, she's very organized. She has very good control of her vocabulary and her grammar, and she always has very specific examples to help explain her ideas. So why is it? Why is it exactly that she's not reaching that goal yet? So she still needs a little bit more work. Her score report indicated a few things. She has some minor limitations with grammar and vocabulary, although we did not see that in this practice test, but that's what her score report says. She does have some pronunciation issues and intonation issues that sometimes make it a little distracting to listen to her ideas. So those are some of the things that she is trying to work on in order to get better.